everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel. We are the Candid Book Club. I'm Linda, this is Omar, this is Tanya, this is Jess, and this is Mimi. And today we are going to speak about some of the weirdest books that we've ever read. Now, honestly, some of these go way back. We couldn't even remember, some of the details. But we do remember some.
And what sticks out?
Yeah, what sticks out?
They're weird.
Really weird, yeah, exactly. And when we say weird, I don't think we've got a definition for this, but like something that made us stop in our tracks and be like, "Whoa, this is a bit bizarre."
Or what am I reading?
Yeah. What am I reading? This story is a bit odd. And I will start with if an Egyptian cannot speak English. I mean, firstly, the title is like absolute lols because
what does that mean?
If an Egyptian can't speak English, so what? Like, who's telling the story? And that's the point. That is the point because. This story, the author is kind of writing, apparently it's something that happened to the author, but it's fiction. Okay, so we base it on fiction. Now, I read this like a couple of years ago. Again, I was attracted by the title. There's a girl from America, she's Egyptian, but born and raised in the States, and after the revolution, a few years later, she's like, I want to go back to the motherland and experience it. So she's a complete cliche. She even says that about herself. That she knows that she's a cliche. Her parents are like, what the hell are you doing? Like, you know, Egypt's not stable, but they're like, fine, if she's gonna go, we're gonna put her up in some nice accommodation, whatever. So as part of her whole like vibe, she lives in downtown Cairo, she takes up like teaching and, you know, does all this outreach stuff, and she looks weird. She has a shaved head. You can't be a female and have a shaved head and walk down in Cairo. They think you're a bit weird, yeah? Weird. Yeah, like it's just, again, like she went against all sort of cultural customs and norms, and people were looking at her. She's wearing some weird outfits. Again, like, you know, it is a conservative society at the end of the day, especially if you're in downtown Cairo. But she frequents this cafe bar called Cafe Riche, which is actually a real place in downtown Cairo. It's got a really rich history, sort of like colonial vibes. This is where all the top-notch people used to hang out back in the day. And so she goes there and starts hanging out, and then she meets this guy who's the complete opposite end of society, where he's from a village up north. Like, when I tell you it's a village, like no one would have heard of this. I had to Google it, like, on the map. And he comes to Cairo after the revolution for hope of a better life as a photographer, but he's got a massive drug addiction, and then to get into a relationship or some sort of situationship that is so toxic, and the story was like, oof, what is going on? Like, where does this go? And the ending is just wild. And then there's a chapter in this book where it's a conversation between the author and her editors of what to keep in and what take out of the book.
Right.
I don't know if it's a real conversation, but it feels like that it could be a conversation with your editorial team.
Guys, I'm sold. I know, I was going to say,
Jess,
I really want to
this is a Jess book. If anyone's going to read a weird book here, it's going to be Ms. Pancholi. So anyway, so basically that's that. But the funniest part was when I was reading this book, I was in Egypt and I went to the Cafe Riche. So I'm sitting there reading it like this, yeah? And I'm like, this Cafe Riche. And then the table in front of me were the proprietors of the place. So I'm looking at them and I was like, do you own this gaff? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, do you know that like your cafe is like set in, like this book is set in the cafe? And they were like, oh no. I was like, do you want to read the blurb? And they were like, oh, Noor, the author, yeah, she was like writing something when she was here, like, yeah, we know her. And I was like, in my head, like, she doesn't really portray them as the nicest of people.
Oh no!
Yeah, obviously I'm not, again, it's fiction, this, you know, she could be right around that. So I was like, have you read it? And they were like, no, but, oh yeah, if it's about da-da-da-da, like, yeah, I think this is probably a true story because we know this guy. So the guy from the village.
Oh shit.
And I was like, okay. So I did a TikTok review naturally, and it went viral. It went absolutely viral because people were like, no way is this kind of based on truth.
Oh my God.
Although I think the ending might be different, but I don't know because I don't know the guy. So
listen, truth is stranger than fiction.
It's true.
Yeah,
That's
and
what they
it's
say.
strange. So it wasn't just the story that was strange or the circumstances of which I read the story, but also like the way she writes. I'm not a literary person, like I would just read books, but like the whole like vehicles used and, you know, this editorial thing, like it was
fluffy
It was
poetry.
special, man.
Lily,
It
you've
was
done such
special.
a passionate story of that one being
Really?
weird. I think people might be tempted to actually pick it
I
up.
know, I feel like I want to read this.
Please take it. And also the
I
title.
shall.
Also like this brer, like what is this picture? Like, oh just yes. So yeah, that is that.
Well done.
Next, so tell us just one of your weird books then.
Okay, well, so the weird books that I had chosen is actually pretty similar to this one in terms of look. They have the really similar covers, I think, with like a really, cherubic, angelic painting on the front.
Renaissance.
Yeah, and some, big block letters. So I've chosen My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Tessa Moshfegh. I hope that some of you have read it. If you have, please let me know in the comments whether you agree with my categorising it as a weird one. It's
weird.
Yeah, so it's a story of a sort of a young girl in the year 2000s who is essentially fed up with her life and medicates herself to sleep for 9 months.
Consistently.
In and out. She has a routine, she sets up a routine, but that's towards the end, so I don't really want to spoil it if you haven't read it and you really are into weird books.
No judgment if that is the case.
No, and I'm not going to say that I didn't even enjoy it either, because I think that it was so different to everything else I've read, but it was just so out there. It's such an out there story, and from what I understand, this author has like a tendency to do that with all of their books. Not that I've read any of the others,
I
but
haven't read this book, but we were invited to watch the
Eileen.
screening of this book.
Ah.
It's called Eileen by
Yeah.
the same author, and it's that kind of thing where it's like this sort of lonely girl who works in like a hospital, and she kind of befriends this psychologist, and then there's just this madness that happens that you're just like, oh my days, what the hell is this? So yeah, I think maybe that's a habit of hers.
Probably, but yeah. I'm not going to say I recommend it, but I'm not going to say
Don't
don't miss out on
read
it. It's an experience.
I mean, for you to describe it as weird, Jess, is quite
I
something.
think so.
Because we would
Love
I
it
would put
weird.
you in the lover of the weird books category generally.
Thank you. I'll take that.
Which takes me to Luster.
Oh gosh.
We read Luster.
We did.
I mean, like, a lot of people read Luster. It was that book. It came down. I think it
Raven-
came out in
Raven Leilani?
Yeah.
It came out when we were in lockdown,
Yes, it did.
and it's just wild. So what was it? It
I
was
remember it being really hyped. It's this young girl who lives in New York who starts up an affair with a married man, but she ends up moving into their house.
and she's black. They're a white couple.
Yeah.
And then they have an adopted a
Black
black
child.
who then they're like, okay, well, let's use this girl to help us raise our black child, our
Oh
black
gosh.
adopted daughter.
That is so
But the whole
weird,
thing was
isn't
just
it?
so. It was like
Oh.
she had like a really weird Stockholm syndrome. The whole
Yeah.
time I was just like, leave this house.
Yeah, the upbringing was weird.
Yeah.
Her upbringing was difficult, which sort of led her to feel like this situation was like okay.
The way she treats her own body and
Oh my god, the wife,
Yeah.
wife. Didn't they pay her?
yes, I think they did. I think they paid her for the baby.
You're getting re-weirded out all
Tutoring.
over again. It's really funny.
Just
This book is fascinating.
Weird, man. It's a mess. But you're like, raw, like kudos to your imagination.
Yeah.
That's true.
Because
I also couldn't stop reading it.
yeah, yeah. I can't remember how it ended. I'm assuming she left.
I think she did. I think I am the glue that holds the weird book thing together, because
You are a
also like one of the other books I think we were going to talk about as well was Convenience Store Woman, which 3 of us have read here by Sayaka Murata, I think her
It's
name
a
is.
Japanese book.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's Japanese. It's about a young girl who works at a 7-Eleven in Japan, and that's pretty much it. She's
Yeah.
like facing a lot of outside pressure of like
It was a weird
needing
book.
to get married and
but
live a life prescribed to a certain
So why was it
way.
weird?
Do you want to let Tanya talk about this one because this is her pick?
Yeah.
Why was it weird, Tanya?
It was weird just because she was just really odd. Like she wasn't herself. Like she adopted everybody else's personality, and like I think were some of the girls into like designer or something like that, and then she wanted like bags that they had. It was just,
Yeah.
and then like she had this weird living. Was he her boyfriend or that guy who used to live in a
It was
bathtub or
just
something?
a guy. Yeah.
It was bathtub.
Yeah. What? I don't. Was he homeless?
He used to sleep in her bathtub. I don't remember whether he was
I
homeless.
can't
Can I just say
remember.
that, like, with zero disrespect, yeah, Japanese literature, like it
Out of the
has
box.
it has some gems.
I love
Do
it.
you know
I'm
what?
saying. It's definitely different.
I don't know why I picked up this book. but I actually really enjoyed it.
You liked the cover.
Yeah,
It's
I'm a
different.
sucker for like
Also,
really
like, I
weird
think
covers.
the weird thing about this protagonist is like she's different and she knows it, and so the author writes like her step by step
Yeah.
sort of
Thought
thought
process.
process.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I should be
Because
doing this, but
wasn't
I'm
there
not,
like a-
and you're like, oh, okay.
Like when she goes back into the past and like she was
God.
in school
Yeah.
and someone goes, oh, you should just hit him or something, and she like smacks the
Yeah.
guy like, and he's like bleeding and he's in hospital and stuff, but she's so literal, like she would. But anyways, it was weird, but I really enjoyed that.
I
book.
did, and it's really sweet that at the end she kind of like learns that she doesn't have to prescribe
Yeah.
to what everybody else wants
Just
her
do
to
you,
do.
Mum.
She can just
Yeah.
be herself.
Yeah.
I loved it.
That is such a weird way of writing a book that says you do you, hun. Like, come on.
That is literally the crux
I
of the
feel
story.
like
Yeah.
you guys
Just
just
do
do
you, hun.
Have you read it?
I feel like, oh my
I'm
God,
not
you
going
like
anywhere
it.
near this.
I feel
You
like
don't
you wanna read
know.
something
You
like
really
this.
like it.
Listen, we don't want to start a habit of talking about baths on our
Can I
YouTube
just-
channel.
do you know
But a
what?
man living in a bathtub is not the one.
Now that you've brought up this one, I need to speak about another Japanese book that
Go
I read
on.
recently called Butter.
Oh, I don't know.
I've got that.
You
on
put me
my-
off that.
it's
Yeah,
on
no,
my-
can I just say, like, it's honestly, it's so overhyped, right?
Okay.
I'm just, in my humble opinion, okay, just before anyone starts to get aggy out there, but, like, the premise is just jokes, yeah? You've got, you've got a serial killer
Yeah.
in jail that, well, no one, she's in there because they can't actually they pieced bits together. All of the last people that she's been seen with, she's an escort, have died.
Okay.
All right.
So have they got proof it's her?
No, it's just all like circumstantial evidence that she
Okay.
was the last person
She's
seen,
there.
and she's there, and like it's not just happened once or twice; it's happened like 3 or 4 or 5 times now.
Okay.
So, and she doesn't respond to anyone out there. No correspondence can go. No journalists. Nothing. Apart from this one girl who's like, right, let me go in there via food because she's also a big foodie.
How do they know she's a foodie?
Oh, like she wrote this blog online back in the day, and
okay.
she like kind of exposed herself in various ways. But she loves dairy, especially butter, like the French salted butter
So
kind,
weird.
right? So this girl, this journalist, is like, great, like let me go in. And she's like, her own description is that she's really, really slim. And by going and visiting her, the girl is like, eat this restaurant, and then after you've gone to this restaurant and eaten this dish, go and make wild love to this guy, and you'll feel the full effects of like this ramen bowl or whatever. And I'm reading this like, cool, okay, like very weird, yeah.
That is
And
mad.
then in the end, I'm like, right, where did this story go? Like, where's the friend? Why is the friend in there? Like, I just don't. And it was like 400 pages.
Oh,
It's a
wild.
doorstop. It's
It
a
was
doorstop.
no. Do you know what? I got through it quickly, but you know when you're just like, this is wild. And a part of me was like, did the translator just like not? Like, did we not just catch like what was going on? The translator, did they do a dodgy job here, or legit is this what they wrote in Japanese? But Butter, everyone. Let me know if you've read it. The thing I left with was maybe I should go and have a bit more salted butter.
That's a good takeaway.
That's an alright
Yeah.
takeaway, to be fair.
Yes, it was just crazy.
The weirdest
Okay,
thing.
another one. Pizza Girl. You read that.
All of us take deep breaths before we describe these.
So
books.
I don't know who sent this to us, but it was like this short little book. It had a cute, quirky cover. So I thought, let me give it a go. You know, I think it was like towards the end of my reading challenge one year, and I needed to like up my books. So I read it. Honestly, I couldn't even tell you what I read. It wasn't weird per se in terms of like, you know, freaky things happening or whatever, but it was just this character. She's like, has a really lovely boyfriend. I think she lives with like her mum and her boyfriend. And he seems really nice and he's like in love with her, doting, whatever. She just seems unbothered about him. She's pregnant with his child. She works in a pizza place. And then she comes across this woman who like rings up to order a pizza to say like, can you put pickles on the pizza? And it was like, you know, a special request. Like, can you please do this? And they're like, yeah, okay, fine. So she goes to deliver the pizza. And she was just like, oh, thank you so much. I've moved into the area and like my kid only has this weird pizza and, you know, I'm so glad you can do it. So they strike up this like sort of friendship, and she slowly becomes obsessed with this married woman and this kid. And then
Is this translated fiction?
No, it's not. It's like
Where's it
based
set?
in America.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Who
and
puts pickles on a bloody pizza.
I'm really into pickles at the moment, guys.
I love pickles. I have pickles on a pizza.
Is it? Okay.
Pickles on a pizza's fine. That's not the
Yeah.
issue. It's
Pickle
more the
poppers.
obsession bit that's
Yeah.
the issue.
English one's like, I feel like she treats her boyfriend a bit shitty, and then she just slowly becomes more and more obsessed with this woman, and this woman. I think she like almost says that she's in love with her, and then next thing you know, she's at her yard with a gun.
Wow.
Yeah,
Lovely.
it was
Wow, that
just-
escalated.
Yeah.
All because of the pickles on a pizza.
Yeah.
So maybe we shouldn't put pickles on a pizza.
Yeah.
That
But
went
yeah,
so
it just,
left.
it literally just went like, it was like, the girl is just odd. You don't really understand her like motivations for doing anything. Life, okay, it's not great, but it's like pretty standard. And
That's not.
it
sounds
just
whack.
goes left. It
Yeah,
just
it
goes
sounds whack.
stupid. It didn't make sense, and I just was like, I think I gave it a 2. I think the reason I gave it a 2
I
as
think
well
you gave
was
it a
just
1,
because.
man.
Maybe, but I think it was just because I got through it really quick. So I was
Yeah.
like, that's a plus point,
Yeah.
The writing was fine, but I just didn't understand. Like, I couldn't relate to it. I didn't care about any of the characters. I didn't understand the motivations. The woman that she becomes obsessed with, I don't know why she ends up there at her yard with a gun. Like, it was just...
It's a bit of a funny one, that.
I'll tell you another
Odd.
weird one. Unsettled ground.
Mm.
Although
Oh.
we really like.
I
did
loved
love
that
it.
bit.
No, but being weird doesn't mean that we can't like.
Enjoy it.
No, I
appreciate it.
know,
enjoyed
but I
it.
did
It was
really
different.
love it.
When was the last time you read a book about 50-year-old twins, like a guy and a girl, who live together on the fringes of society, and I just don't know what on. Like, it was the weirdest.
They don't
book.
have any kind of technology.
Yeah.
It's so isolated.
And
And
you think
when their
it's-
mom dies, they just leave the body in the house for like days because they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
man,
love that
it's
book.
such a sick book, actually.
It's
Yeah.
so good
It's
because
such a good.
I
book.
think there's a difference between weird where you're reading it and you're like, what the hell is happening? And weird when you're like so intrigued by it.
Yeah.
And that one
Never
for
read
me
anything like it.
was weird intrigued,
Yeah.
like massively so.
I
It was
100%
brilliant.
That book, like, I think it got a lot of airtime.
Yeah, it did. It was
Yeah.
on the. I think it was on the Women's Book Prize list.
Yeah, but it feels like it needed more.
I agree. I think it
flew
got a bit
under
of
the
a
radar a
shadowed.
little bit. I think
Yeah.
the only reason we found out about it was because we got sent the copies
yeah.
by the reading agency that year.
Yeah.
Had we not, I don't think I would
I
have
don't
picked
know.
it
I
up.
don't. Yeah,
Yeah.
100% agree with that. No,
So
definitely.
Unsettled Ground, guys, very weird set of circumstances,
Yeah.
protagonists, very different. I've
Yeah,
not read
for
any
sure.
characters
But
like
very
that.
underrated.
Very
So,
underrated.
very underrated.
Yeah. The other one is Vegetarian by Han Kang.
This got a great cover, that book.
Now, I have to be honest, I do not remember the details. I just remember, does the woman think she's a vegetable?
There you go. We kicked it off.
It just, I remember reading it with a,
Like
with a
what,
colleague.
carrot?
I don't know, do you know,
Let me
find
find
it here, yeah? But I remember reading it with a colleague, like we were reading it at the same time, and we'd look at each other like, huh? Did she just become like an apple or something? Like, I
Did
can't,
she just become an
I
apple?
can't remember, but like it is really good. Like it was a really good book, but it was wild.
The
Right.
first question on Google is, what is the point of the vegetarian by Han Kang?
What's the point of the book?
Right, go on.
The Vegetarian is set in modern day Seoul, tells the story of Yong-hee, a part-time graphic artist and homemaker whose decision to stop eating meat after a nightmarish dream about human cruelty leads to devastating consequences in her personal and familial life.
Well, this is long, man. What
You're
is
going to need a
this?
synopsis.
Oh no, I'm trying to...
Go to Goodreads.
Can
or
anyone
something.
let us know in the comments
Yeah, so
whether it's a
basically,
vegetable?
Because she's now become like some vegetarian. Everything is like a metaphor for something. You know, I mean, do not take me literally, but like her couch becomes some kind of veg.
Cocoon.
Yeah. I don't know. It was just
Yeah.
bizarre, but you know when it's like this is really
Different.
like, interesting.
Unusual.
Yeah, like I don't know if the author was tripping while this book was being written, but again, very unusual. And I think the same applies for her other book, Human Acts, which I read. Again, I cannot remember for the life of me what it was about, but geez, crazy. Orbiting Jupiter, Tanya, that was one of yours.
The eye roll.
I read this, I think it was 2017. I had to scroll through Instagram to see the review because I just can't remember it. It was weird but stupid. Like, it was very stupid. It was like this 13-year-old boy who comes out of prison. And the thing is, the way when you read the blurb, it seems like older people, like
What was
someone.
he in prison for?
Who knows, Linda? I don't know. I don't know what he was in prison for. And he comes out and he's like trying to find his daughter.
He's 13 and he has a daughter.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then he's trying to provide for her.
He's trying to get this job and trying to provide and make money and to go support.
So is this book weird or just a rubbish book?
No, it was weird because it was like it doesn't like it's not
Realistic.
realistic in any way. Like, don't get me wrong, I know like youths have children,
Yeah.
but it was silly. And then like I don't even think I rated it anything because I just thought it was just so
How
dumb.
do these people get a book deal?
I think we
I
just.
think there's like a part of the market though that's like there for the dystopian, there for the
That's
slightly
not
like
dystopia.
left field.
That's warped.
I
man.
think Tanya should have realised that this was going to be a red flag of a book since Zoella.
But this is 2017. This is a
Right.
Listen,
time ago.
Zoella was at her peak book powers.
She was.
Thank you.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean she had good recommendations.
Maybe she
Give
hyped
her
it
some-
up.
Give her some grace. Give her
Anyways.
some grace.
My book choices have changed since then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
good. She's
She's
developed.
right. And then last, I think, Goddesses.
Goddesses, yeah, that one was really quite funny. It's like I'm very grateful to one of my friends who put this in my hands, and it's like a weird, slightly like dystopian hen party full of like feral feminists in a country home, and they're a bit of a cult, and they like run around after each other, and this one girl is just like, what the hell is happening here? So you see it through the lens of a normal person going,
Right.
this is weird. Like, and you see like the main character you follow is like in this circle of women that's doing this kind of like hen party, and it's all very, very odd. But it's like, I think it's a bit of a satirical take on like what happens when you get a ton of like posh rich women together in a big country mansion trying to find themselves, and like the rituals
Namaste.
and the namaste and like but on steroids. And in the end there's like, I mean, I won't ruin it for you, it's brilliant, do pick it up because
Wow,
it's really funny. Like, but they do end up in like a car chase around the grounds. I really recommend it. It was a great
Why
read.
is it called Goddesses?
Because they are like goddesses.
They're trying to find
They're
their
all trying
inner
to be
goddess.
I like that.
goddesses.
Oh.
Like,
grief.
but there's a little bit of like the weird type like levels of witchcraft in it, I'd say. It's a bit weird.
Okay, so I was going to end there, but there is one book that actually I read recently, and it's weird. Okay.
I think you need to take a shot every time we say weird.
I mean, right, okay, so I'm going to set the scene here. It's past and present day somewhere in Southeast Asia. Our like main protagonist is some sort of like photojournalist or photographer enthusiast. I think she's based in Singapore,
In present day.
present day. And then she finds this article in the past about something or other, so tries to dig a bit deeper. And I can't remember this bit in the book. Maybe this is where like my memory just sort of went, what, huh? And moved on. But she starts writing letters to a character in the past who then writes back to her. And I don't understand the actual technical like way of which that they wrote to each other. I feel like it was via the photo. Okay, so basically,
You answered what it's called, this book.
the light between us. That's it. The light between us.
Okay.
So they start writing letters to each other. 1920 versus like 2019. Like literally like
Oh my
like that,
God.
back and forth, back and forth. And she'll write an email, and it goes in the ether, and he receives it in whatever form. And like the email takes like years or months to arrive to the bro in the past. Yeah.
The brat in the past.
And I swear I'm stone cold sober telling this. And then so he receives it, whatever, and then they actually develop feelings for each other over time. And then she starts writing some raunchy things, and then he starts writing some things as well because she's telling him about the future, and he's like, wow, like you have this in the future, you know, like it's just whack. But the
Time
weirdest
travel
thing,
sexting.
yeah, oh my goodness, that's exactly what it is. And so, but right, but through letters.
Yes, yes,
Through
yes.
letters.
Sorry.
So basically, she's writing some raunchy things, yeah, to her pen pal in 1919 or 1920.
Oh my gosh.
I did learn learn a lot about like colonialism
Yeah.
and history
Oh my God.
whilst skimming over these letters. But the weirdest part that happened in this book was sort of like towards the end. Our main character, our present day character, has a half brother, but they're not blood related. It was like same
Like Sharon,
sharing.
no, Sharon, her brother in Clueless.
Yes.
Like
step
um,
step
step brother,
a step
step sibling.
half brother thing,
Yeah, half
step
step
sibling.
siblings,
Yeah.
yeah.
So she's got a step sibling that they're not related by blood, and they're like really tight because like their family dynamic is so whack. And actually, I would have liked to know more about that in the family rather than this nonsense.
That's so
Um,
funny.
But she sort of wants to experiment, and this spirit takes over her, and she actually ends up reenacting some sort of sexual encounter with, and it's her half sibling
Oh.
that's there, and a line is crossed. I'm like, why was there a need for this? Okay, so yes, that's the weirdest part.
Okay.
What stuff is she reenacting? The stuff that she writes about with her little pen pal?
Basically, they end up like nearly
Shagging.
doing the deed, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
And he allows it to happen.
I can't deal with this
No,
anymore.
one minute he allows it to happen, but then after that he's like, I can't look at you in the same way. Of course not. And she crosses the line. Like she could have got any man off the street and did this reenactment. Why him? Why? So guys, I'm gonna call it there because I don't even remember the details. But
You
But she's
remember
still-
enough. You remember
I remember
enough.
enough.
She's still
to tell you
traumatised.
That it was #weird. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this installment in our
Yeah.
YouTube.
Tell us if you have any
Yeah.
weird books that you've read. What have we missed?
Or recommend.
Pop them in the comments
Yeah.
I'm
below.
not sure we can recommend half of
Yeah, I think we've exhausted the list, to be honest.
Yeah.
Hopefully we don't read that many weird ones in future.
No.
But anyway, see you next time.
Bye.